open about.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to admit everybody, and we'll begin.
Yep. We'll give it a go.
All right. Got people coming in everywhere. Give everybody a chance to catch up with us here.
Oh, cool.
And okay, we'll go ahead and begin. I think we've got everybody here for the time being who's going to be here. A few folks might check in with us as we move along. I want to introduce myself. I will be the moderator this evening. My name is Eric Castor, and I am the Assistant Director for Transfer Admissions. And this evening, our hosts are Department Chair Pat Schiavone, and we've got faculty member John Kalushin and Stephen Schock joining us, and they will be presenting the product design department. So you are in the right place if you're here for the product design major insights. Just a couple things to note while we are doing the presentation. We're going to hold all questions and answers until the end. Currently, we are recording, so if you're shy and you want to keep your video off, you may want to do that. Please hold your audible questions until the end of the presentation. But if you don't want to forget them, or you do have a question, you would like to type them in, you can type them into the chat box just below. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to John, and he's going to begin his screen share with you. Would everybody else like to just say hello?
There we go.
All right.
So introducing Pat Schiavone. Pat, take it away.
Hey,
He's our chair.
Eric, I thought you did a pretty good job on our last names, just so you know.
I had to ask for the phonetic spelling because I wasn't absolutely 100% sure. Thank you.
It's close enough. Mine gets like butchered all the time. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our product design major insights, and obviously a Zoom meeting. So we're thrilled to have you, and we hope that you understand what CCS College for Creative Studies product design is all about when we're done. We're going to have time for questions at the end, and in the meantime, we're going to show you some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to make a little bit of a warning here up front. You're going to see some work that is so good that it's going to make you think you can't do it, and you can do it. And that's what you're going to learn from us in this department. I thank John Kalusti and Steve Schock for joining us here, and we're going to take care of you here tonight a little bit. Give you a little background in myself, and there's a reason why I'm going to tell you this. Is again, my name is Pat Schiavone, and I am the chair. But prior to this, I was the vice president of design for Whirlpool Corporation, which is based in Michigan, and is the biggest appliance manufacturer in the world. I was there for 8 years when I retired, early, by the way, so you don't think I'm old. And prior to Whirlpool, I was director of design for Ford Motor Company, where I was the global design director for trucks, SUVs, and all the international trucks and SUVs also. So, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I think that's one of the most important factors of the College for Creative Studies is all of your instructors, all the professors, all the adjunct professors, the full-time professors, we are all working professionals and working in bigger companies, bigger consultancies. Our professional instructors are pros all the way, and that's what we're going to help you to become if you choose to come to College for Creative Studies. Now, John, do you have another page for us?
Yep, I'm gonna keep it going here. So,
We're going to show you a whole bunch of work tonight, and we're going to talk about, oh, okay, I'm sorry. We have to talk about really here the overview of the school. We are product design. Product design is really about critical thinking and interdisciplinary approaches, including cultural and economic changes in the world. We're going to teach you how to think. We're going to teach you how to problem solve. We're going to teach you about your user and their needs. We're also going to teach you about the art of design, and and the history of design. And we also have special focuses that we really try to think about the students almost in different buckets of design. One of the interesting parts of product design is that it encompasses a whole different kind of disciplines. And you can see under here these areas of focus, so it's like between sports equipment and toys, metal equipment, bathroom fixtures. I did appliances. John has done a lot of chairs. And Steve, you've done a lot of all of these, haven't you?
Yes.
Right? So it's not just a narrow focus. It can be a very wide open focus. Even like exhibit design, for example, is it's almost a mix of interior design, marketing, and so it's a completely different kind of work than you would do with, say, sports equipment. But we like to tune our curriculum to your passions. So that's one of the things that's very important about what we do. We are designers, and we know what to do to make you a designer also. Okay, John. These are some recent design projects from seniors, and everything that you're looking at here does not exist. This is all data that you're looking at. This is 3D data and some fabulous softwares that you can make images that look so real that you think you can reach out and grab them. But also look at how beautiful the designs are and how thoughtful some of these designs are, whether it's the top right image, which is, what is that? That's a Zenith.
yeah, shoulder pads and
Shoulder
protection.
pads, right, yeah.
Yep, for football.
And then a helmet below that. You can see the electric scooter on the top left. And again, do not be afraid of how beautiful and how well done these are, because that is what you're going to learn at the school. Go ahead, John. Okay, do you want me to go on this, John, or are you going to take it?
That's all right. If you I think it's important to speak to some of the skills that we teach, and we teach you all about how to generate ideas. We teach you about sketching all the way through beginning to when you become advanced, where you're able to conceptualize an idea, where you can get it on paper and then take it and implement it into actually a number of CAD programs. As part of the school, we have a lot of high-end computer systems. We have a rendering farm. That means you can send your information in and we render it. You can utilize our computers even when you're remote. The school just made a sizable investment into computers so that our remote students can work just as robust. And so we have a methodology to take you through the beginning all the way to conceptualization, to model making. And then we actually go out and see manufacturers too, so you have an idea how things are made. And then we help you put it all together in a really professional portfolio. So Pat, do you have any, or Steve, do you have anything to add to that? You're welcome to.
Yeah, I'll jump in. You're doing a good job, John. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Oh,
Next slide here.
So
we also work with outside companies as a department, and so this is a recent project where we worked with Exxon, and it was a way to, how will the future cars be charged? And fossil fuels are going to go away for consumer vehicles, and what happens with their product, and how do they distribute energy? So they're looking at being an energy company. So these are just a couple of different concepts.
And
And then we also work with, another company we worked with a couple of years ago was Bissell. And this was actually one of my projects that I had worked on, and it was actually with sophomores. And so we all developed and designed. There were about 15 students in the class. And we developed and designed based on what they gave us criteria for a certain type of vacuum.
This was a sponsored project by Bissell too, wasn't it, John?
It was. So the Bissell family was very integral in this project, and their design staff came into our facility and helped guide us. And then from that, we actually developed designs and drawings and final prototypes. And then we went up there and we actually took all this work there, and you can see it, that there were, all these students had their models on display, and we met 3 generations of the Bissell family, from the grandfather all the way to his son and daughter-in-law down to their kids that run Bissell. So it was exciting, and to see it, and it was shared in social media. And so it was a real life engagement.
We have a few, at least 1 or 2 sponsored projects almost every semester, Steve, correct? I mean,
Yeah, yes.
And that's another big part of the program is our partnership with major Fortune 500 companies. And
yeah, in the case of Bissell, they just hired one of our students full-time just several weeks ago.
who?
Tessa Evans.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's terrific. This engagement is just not where they're coming in intermittently. They're actually picking our students up to work for them. In fact, we have a number of students that work at Bissell now. So we look out for you while you're in school and thereafter too with our engagement.
And we have a comprehensive internship program too. Our students not only are getting jobs, but they're also getting internships, which is usually a summer 2 or 3 month paid, by the way, and you really learn a lot. I mean, you start working with other professionals side by side with them, and when you come back to school from an internship, you're just so much stronger and more confident in your work, and have learned a whole bunch of new tricks from the professionals there at whatever company you're interning with.
We've actually had sophomores work at Bissell, and they're picking up our students at much younger levels today. You don't have to wait to be a junior or senior to get those kind of positions. Hey, Pat, I'm going to do an alternate screen share here and let you take off with this.
Okay. Oh, you're going pretty far
project. I
advanced.
think I have it. Wait a minute. Might take me a moment. I don't see that one on there. I see, I have Kurt's here. So I'm gonna go over and do another screen share with Curtis's program or project.
This is a project. So you're telling me I'm controlling this right now?
No, you just tell me to change the slides.
Okay, good. This is a project I really love. It was a designer, a student, I think he was a senior at the time. His name is Curtis Hoffman. And he really wanted to be a shoe designer. We have a lot of shoe design and all of the major Nike, Adidas, Puma, you name it, they come here, they take interns, and we have a lot of our students really end up in the shoe industry. So we're pretty well known for putting out good shoe designers. Anyhow, so Curtis, I love this story. He did it. I think this was Adidas, if I'm not mistaken, but I've forgotten now. But it was a design challenge. And the winner, it was global. It was a global design challenge. And it just kept narrowing down till they got to like 3 or 4 finalists. And those finalists got the opportunity to intern at Adidas in Germany, I think it was. And so before I show it to you, Curtis, not only did he make that huge cut, which is either in the thousands or in the hundreds globally, with professionals, even some of them, he made it, he got the internship, and after his internship, he had graduated and they hired him, and he lives in Germany and works for Adidas now. So, but what I loved is the story that he told. Not only was he a beautiful designer with beautiful artwork, he also was able to tell a pretty neat story. And so his story is Jonah Hill. And Jonah Hill is an actor, and he didn't want to do something that was around, I don't want to speak for Curtis, but he didn't want to do something that was around sports again. He wanted to do something that was maybe more people could understand because of their lifestyle. So this isn't like a basketball shoe design. Anyway, so he chose Jonah Hill. Go to the next slide. Or am I doing it?
No, I'm doing that.
Okay. Well, you're going awful slow.
Wait.
Okay. So go to the next slide.
Yep. Okay. Let me see it. Okay.
Now you can even go skip this one. I'm going to make this kind of fast. And so now you can see sort of these three elements of Jonah Hill's life. Next slide. So first we're going to see his workout. Okay, so these are the sketches that he was using to design the workout shoe for Jonah Hill. Next slide. And there's the final rendering. This is a drawing, by the way, digital drawing, but it's absolutely superb. And you can see where he was using those quicker drawings to get to this, and the whole feeling of this is the actual closest to a sports shoe as Jonah Hill would get. Go to the next one, please, John. And now we're going to talk about casual. This is the final casual shoe for the Jonah Hill collection. And go to the next one. And then my favorite is the dress shoe. You know what, John? See if there's one in front of this one. No, there isn't. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. And so, so this is still an athletic shoe in the sense that it's soft, gummy soles. But what I loved about it was that it was a dress athletic shoe, and it was inspired by a classic wingtip style that is as formal a shoe as you can get. Go to the next one, see if there's, I think there's one more. And so how beautiful this is. And so what I think is really exciting about it is how he was able to take a completely different concept of a lifestyle and turn it into an athletics shoe. Not only did I love it, and he got an A in the class, by the way, but he got a job too. So I just think this was a wonderful story. And these are some of the things that we're going to teach you how to do. And that's the final,
cool.
all three of them together. Okay. Thank you, John.
I do have, there we go. There's Jenna's project now, if you want to go through it.
All right, you know what? I'm going to just have you cycle through it and stop because I've already talked too much. So,
okay. Well, so, you know, this was a project that, Pat, you did, and I think it displays nicely.
Well, it's kind of a long one, but what it came down to was the brief was small space living. And Jen, she did this project that was, keep going a little bit, and I'm going to have you stop. It was started with, so you had to, go back one. She got inspired. So you had to do something that was in like a 500 square foot apartment in like Shanghai or wherever, New York City. So she got inspired. She was going to do these pots and pans, but since it was small space living, there's nowhere to put pots and pans in those teeny tiny studio apartments. So she got the idea, was inspired by that bottom left image, and those are African woven baskets. And I'll never forget it because she sent me a text on a Saturday one day and said, I got it. I said, well, what is it? She goes, I can't tell you. You got to wait till Monday because I got to put it all together. So she got inspired by those baskets. And go ahead, John. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm going to just get right to it here. Go to the next one. So as she was there, this is fine. So as she got inspired by these baskets, so these are the lids. The top images are the lids. The bottom images are the pots. And those are meant to hang on the wall. And that's how she's saving space. But she's doing it in such a beautiful, artistic way that they becomes works of art, as well as having solving the problem of the storage. Go to the ones where there's a final image, John, and we can kind of skip through it, where she's got a white credenza. And I thought this was a wonderful answer to a very difficult.
That's cool. That's how they hang, huh?
Yeah, that's how they
great.
hang.
Yeah.
And that's somebody hang, and there you go. So that's how you would see them, where they're mounted on the wall. So if you want to cook the spaghetti, you go and you grab the pot, you twist it off the wall, put it on, put the water in, off you go. And then you can clean it, put it back on the wall, it becomes a work of art again. That is a really, really beautifully handled artistic approach to a problem. And I think it's one of the best projects of that last year. So anyway, did you see how beautiful they all are? Really good. Thank you for your time on the end. That was wonderful. And she got a full-time position at Whirlpool, by the way.
Yeah, that's a great example, Pat, of, addressing a need in a poetic way, right?
Right. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
it
way,
was really beautiful.
way to put it. Okay, what's next?
Oh, wait a minute here. I'm gonna keep going here. So this is another project. It was a student that I had, and he works at a design firm now in Boston. But in this particular project, it was for a studio where we designed tools and assistance for elderly. And so we did a number of different products. And within this, he was looking at how could you actually make the tool easier to see for somebody who is wearing glasses and they're trying to work on a tool. So he put a small camera in where it would actually show you the cut. And from that, then he developed the whole concept and rendered it. And this is all developed in CAD again.
And beautifully presented too, John.
Yeah, it was really nicely done. He figured out how things would be made by looking at existing equipment out there, and then did color, alterations to it. Hey, the other thing we touch on that's so important today is how you integrate with a product, because today products aren't just the physical, but also the integration with it. So we teach you how to develop an app where you create a family tree, and then from that family tree, how you engage with it. And then you run into, the final outcome. So that's another big part of all products. I had a student where he wasn't so sure that he would like this. At the beginning of the class, he said, I don't know that I'm going to like this kind of stuff. And by the time we were done, he said, this is my favorite thing to do. And today he works at Chamberlain Garage Doors, where he actually designs all the garage door systems, and then he designs the apps that go with them. So he's totally put it all to work, what he learned. And they again have hired our students as intern and full-time students. So it's been really nice to see where the actual skill went out. I had another student do a thermostat in our class, and he ended up doing the thermostat for Honeywell through a design firm down in Texas. So again, we've seen where they've done it in class, and the success has come out actually in being produced.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Steve?
I was just going to mention that, as these products get smarter, the integration of physical product and digital product, we see that merging, coming together. And in that Jigsaw project, you saw some of that there, where you had a physical product, but it has a digital interface. And I think the app and the digital interface is a really interesting intersection of design, for sure. So there's a couple projects.
Are you able to do a screen share, Steve?
Let me try. Let me see.
Otherwise, I can get to them and share it.
Yeah, maybe just click on one of those, John, and we can talk real quick about some of these projects.
Okay.
So we talked earlier about sponsored projects and our connection to industry. And you saw that Bissell example where, you know, part of our mission is to connect you students to, you know, jobs in the industry. And through these sponsored projects, this is how these relationships evolve. And this was just a project that we did with Nike. And I would mention that Nike has hired more design students from CCS than any other college in the world. And this is one of those projects and one of these collaborations where we worked with Nike to develop product. So this first project here was, we were designing shoes for Olympic athletes. And so what the students did is you want to understand who you're designing for. So in this example here, we're designing fencing shoes. And this is a shoe for somebody who does fencing, you know, sword fighting. And so the students went over to Wayne State University and they actually worked with students on the fencing team to define needs specific to that sport. And so the students, based on their information and insights from those athletes, they developed various footwear concepts. And some of these images you can see are early sketches, early ideation sketches. And some of the inspiration is based on, and in the Olympics, you know, designing for a nationality. So Poland was one of the athletes at Wayne State. She was from Poland. So we're trying to pull in imagery from Poland, but also considering the functional needs of the shoe, the breathability, the flexibility, the durability, and all of these things too. And you're seeing various sketch models, you know, that we saw some clay. And so we're trying to translate these two-dimensional images into three-dimensional forms and how they wrap around surface. So this is just one example of a student project that a sponsorship with Nike and working with actually Olympic athletes. This project here was similar. It was another project we did with Nike where we were designing basketball shoes for the NCAA teams. And Michigan State was one of those teams. I think this was the Michigan State group. So what we did is we went to Michigan State and we interviewed the basketball team, spent time with them, observed them, and got to know the athletes. So we're designing specific footwear for these specific athletes. And then we would bring in the performance needs, you know, traction and durability and breathability and these kinds of things, but also elements of the campus life, you know, the graphics and logos that would express, you know, more of the Michigan State ideas. So it was not just about the performance needs, it was also about visual inspiration and personal inspiration from the actual athletes. So a lot of the graphics were developed from these insights from the athlete, the inspiration from the athlete, and then the performance needs. And these are just examples of everything from a finished digital model like you're seeing here to sketches, hand sketches done. They also did the uniforms, and even within the uniforms, they're thinking about breathability and accessibility and even the graphics, the graphic layout. And they worked in teams. So this is a team project. So some of the team worked on the uniforms, some of the team worked on the footwear. And we're just seeing details of some of these other concepts from the teams. And then we presented these, we went to a local YMCA and we presented this presentation to the Nike group. They flew in from Portland and, you know, the students presented in this public space to the leadership at Nike. So that's what this project was all about.
Really cool, Steve.
Wow, really great breadth of work. It's
Yeah.
neat.
Neat.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and do a screen share again, back to our main presentation here. So again, some of the companies that we partner with as a school and department in particular, are some of the brands that are probably right in your own home that you're going to recognize. And I'm going to go through and show you in just a moment. And you can kind of pick them out and see, hey, those probably exist within my home or my closet or wherever it is. So, within the school, we work with outside, we work companies, we work with job placement. And then we as an education institution, as well as a department, have a reputation for awards and higher paid jobs. So we believe that, what you put in, you will certainly get back in a higher paid position and likely a position that's of a more comfortable order too, where you're enjoying it. Going on to the next slide. More recently, we've had like a number of students win awards. And so this was just back last month. We had 2 students win an International Creative Conscience Award, and it's out of Europe. And the one on the top's a gold award. Tessa Evans, she goes by, her name is Teresa, but she goes by Tessa. And she's actually the one who just took the position over at Bissell. So, and then down below this next one, this was by Dan Hilbrun, and he actually developed kind of a small stackable housing concept. And he did this as a sophomore. So then moving on, this was another award. This was actually a freshman, pretty advanced freshman, but he's from Japan. And he was a student that I had, and he created small little models. And then he was kind of advanced where he took note of CAD, how to learn it, and then developed a CAD model, and then entered it in the European Design Award and won back in January, which was terrific.
I mean, these are prestigious awards.
So we have an industry day twice a year. And so last May, we had a number of people come to our school. And this is the list of companies that came in to hire individuals for, I guess actually this was in February. But they came in and looked at all the students' work, and we got to spend time with them. And students asked them questions as well as vice versa. They asked them, the students, questions about their work, where they saw their future. And these are some of the brands that came in. So again, you probably recognize some of these. I know, Pat, you certainly do.
I certainly do.
With Whirlpool being the company that, Pat had led. And, we've done everything from Radio Flyer. We had students work with them on wagons and toys, to Rubbermaid. Kohler has done sponsored projects with us. Keen was there looking to pick up students. Garmin, we've had a number of students work there, and now we have students working there full time. Carhartt is right in Detroit, so we have students working with them as well. We have 1 or 2 graduates working at 3M right now, a number of graduates at Nike and Zenith, Bissell, as I said, Procter & Gamble. Every one of these companies has our grads in there in some context. So while you're in school, the other thing we like to do is we like to go out. We take field trips. We get out of school normally a lot, and we go out and we see where things are being made. We visit design firms in Chicago or other cities in the Midwest. We've even gone into New York City. These are like stamping plants, injection molding. This, we actually get to go out and see the Langenfelter collection. Ken
Looks like a
Langenfelter.
Ferrari.
Yeah, he has one of the most beautiful collections of cars in the world. He has several, warehouses full of exotic cars. Yeah, this is his LaFerrari there. He actually started it up for us, which was, we got to sit in it too. It looks like he's particular about it, but he did let us, walk around and check it out and sit in it. So just a little bit about our facilities. I'm going to come back to a few other projects that I think we'd like to share with you. But within our facilities, we really have world-class facilities for engaging with one another, the actual classroom environment, and where we display our work. This is actually where we work. We almost have like a full-time show going on there where you get to go and check out other students' work and engage with them.
It's
So
a
we
studio, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
so
work in a studio.
yeah, so we have active classrooms. They're not stagnant where you have to go in and just sit in one place. We actually take you around, or you go around and look at work that's being done. We don't isolate freshmen from seniors. We're all together. We help one another. And so within the facility, we have, just in our building, we have a really great model shop. And then one of the other buildings, we have a really terrific wood shop. Then we have metal shops. We have a foundry. We have glass blowing. And so the thing is we have what we think is one of the best facilities in the world to really touch on all types of design and development. And then more recently, we have a fashion department too, which we have a number of students that will take classes there to use their facility and make it part of their product design education as well.
Because those lines start to blur a little bit too, don't they?
They do. They totally do.
Soft goods, whether it's shoes or backpacks, or so that's Nike also, and so it's wonderful again to have the fashion group now within CCS. And John, you mentioned a little bit about the culture. I think the culture is also a very big, important part of the College for Creative Studies. And it's a culture that's rich in history. And I went to the College for Creative Studies. John, Steve, we all did. And we went all over different parts of the world and ended up coming back to teach and help while we're here. But so we have a personal relationship with students. Students will, I mentioned that a student got a hold of me on a Saturday. We care about our students, and we work together with our students, and we help you. And by the way, the relationship you have with other students is also very important too. That's a community in and of itself. You learn a ton from the other students. It keeps everybody fresh and moving and on the cutting edge.
I just had a student contact me yesterday if I could, to have me review an employment contract that she just wanted to get a second opinion on.
Right.
And while I'm not a lawyer, I understand those things pretty well, where I could give her, I think, realistic advice of where to look.
But it's lifelong connections.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
You're going to go into that a little bit, aren't you, later in this?
Pardon?
You're going to go into the alumni and
Yep. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to share one more page here. Let's see here. One moment. I think I got the right one. We'll see. Okay, back to our presentations. Anyway, so you're probably thinking that, gosh, this is intimidating, all this work, and it's really polished and fantastic. But we want you to know you start out as a freshman and we take you there. We don't expect you to come there with all this skill set. We know that maybe you took high school art classes as I did. I was the same way. I was actually going to major in fine art, and then I discovered this school and this program, and I changed gears immediately. So at any rate, we realize that. So when you come in, this is a freshman project, the first semester. And so you can see you actually kind of go and you explore design. Steve, you've taught this class.
Oh, yeah.
Was this one of your students or Greg's?
I'm not sure.
This is a
Is
project you
Alex?
teach.
Yeah. I think this was Greg, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. So at any rate, you can see that, they go in and look at and discover design and what is it that they want to do. So in this case, they were actually going to design a light and actually build a light too, which is pretty cool because normally, you do a lot on paper and a computer, but in this case, you actually got to tangibly feel and touch and make it. So then through sketching, we try to conceptualize ideas and then create those ideas so that they, have some function. In this case, it pivoted, you can see.
But you can actually see here that the work isn't as polished as a lot of the things that we've been showing you. And I would almost love to show you what Alex's work looks like now. He's a junior now. And boy, it's changed a lot. It's looking like the polished stuff we showed you.
So
it's important for you to know this, because this is what you're going to learn again.
And we look at how things are made, how they go together, because ultimately things have to get manufactured if we're going to get it out there. So then, more of a final sketch and design. Looks like he was starting to get into some computer manipulation, is something we push pretty early on. And then from that, he made a model, and that's made out of foam core. And, we actually discovered how to use the light bulb and the cord and all that, and integrate it right into the study model. There's the glamour shot.
And then he showed it off in the glamours, yeah.
Right.
The glass of wine there.
Exactly. So let's go into a second semester student as a freshman. These are a couple projects that I had as students. And this was all about doing toys for kids. And so in this, you can see that the idea was that it was a toy that you could launch. And from that, she developed the concept, and then who was the user and who was it for, and then studied what was currently out there. And then what was the problem that she actually saw within the existing toys. Hey, and by the way, we actually went out to a toy store and talked to the owner. So we don't live in isolation. And then again, set up the situation of what she wanted to solve. And then did small sketches, a little more refined sketches. She actually created these little creatures. Ooh.
Cool.
And then created a launcher, how it would kind of work. Found out what type of materials might be used to make it. And then made these little characters out of clay. And then developed kind of, how it would launch. And then, size and all, colors. And then that was the final
This was
concept.
sophomore, John?
No, this was a freshman,
Oh, this is
second
freshman,
semester.
okay. Oh, second semester, okay.
Yeah, and then there's another one that I'll show you that, again, that's second semester freshman. Now it's interesting because this student loved to sew. She had sewn her own clothes, so we embraced that. And when she brought this,
your passions.
yeah, I said go with it. She wanted to do something with sewing, and so she again created a target market. And this was I think it was her boyfriend's sister or something like that. And so she kind of looked at toys in general and some of the downfalls of all the plastic toys, and then created a series of elements that she thought would be beneficial because they were earth friendly, And so she actually purchased organic cottons and things that could biodegrade and researched them. She actually bought cotton and then the dye and dyed it herself. And so she went through and made a survey form of what people liked and didn't like, and then started to create templates, again, with her sewing skill. And then she created this octopus. It was her main character that she came up with. And that a child could learn about tactile feels of using buttons and storage, and it became kind of the little creature that you could take around. And then you could, of course, pack things in it and take it with you or use it as a puppet. So again, done as a second semester
Very
freshman.
cool.
Pretty neat. Hey, so I have a couple more projects to share with you. And you know, Steve or Pat, you're welcome to jump in on this, but this was Greg's project with fire extinguishers. Now we're moving in from, I think this was this second semester freshman, Steve, or was this
I think
sophomore?
Sophomore, yeah, I'm not sure first or second semester, second year.
Yes, I think it was first semester sophomore. It was, because I had some of these students that followed up the following semester with. But in this case, you know, they were looking at fire extinguishers. Greg Darby, who's not here to this evening, but's a terrific instructor. He actually let the students try a bunch of fire extinguishers. They kind of created a mock fire outside and they went at it. So anyways, you know, they researched how they work and some of the issues with fires and how this product would integrate into the home. And again, you can see the sketching is starting to improve by the second semester. We're going to help you get there. We don't expect you to do this right out of college or out of high school, excuse me. Study models become a really important element. What you learned as a freshman, you're now doing not as a final model, but just as a study model to get you there. And then more final sketches. And then at this point, by the time you're a sophomore, we're introducing you to CAD at that point. So students are really anxious to use their CAD skills and drawing skills as well. And you can see that these were done in CAD and then embedded into Photoshop. And in this case, they actually made a real model. So I want to go with another one here. Again, extinguisher. This was designed for the elderly, difficult to use with elderly hands. I think I'm getting there. And then again, inspiration. You know, looking at other products out there so we don't live in a vacuum. What looks good appearance-wise, and then of course what functionally works well. And then from this, Lauren went into, you know, looking at how it would be held. And then again, there's a final model that she had made. And then demonstrating how it works. One of the students in the class even won an award on one of the fire extinguishers.
One of the students, you're not talking about your son, are you?
Yeah, but
That was an amazing job. So.
Well, I practice what I preach. My kids actually go to the school too. My daughter's in the fashion department and doing really well. She's already worked at Calvin Klein. She's had a job opportunity to work at.
Didn't she intern in New York City, John?
Pardon?
Didn't she intern in New York City?
She did. She earned. Yep, she did. And last summer she was supposed to work there with Ralph Lauren designing high-end shoes. So, and then our son, of course, is in product design. So I've been fortunate that my kids embrace what I do, and they've been brought up around it, and so it's kind of fun to have it in the family. And I know Steve shares that same joy with his son is at the school.
He's also at CCS. Yes.
So and Pat, you're working on your son, maybe.
Yeah. He's going to Michigan State.
Okay.
He's an artist, but he can't come to terms with it yet. So we're working on it.
So working around.
Steve, your son's in the entertainment arts, isn't he?
He's in EA. Yes, he is. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about our school is you're now able to take a major and a minor, and you can cross over. We actually encourage you to take classes outside of our department. We think it's a benefit for all our students. So so we have a number of majors in product design, minors in fashion. My daughter's a major in fashion, but a minor in illustration because she just loves to paint and draw. And so collectively, it's helped her work look better too. And so we actually encourage that. These are a couple more projects. This is Tessa, the one who won the award just recently. And so the concept here that Tessa had was all about babies who are prematurely born. They're oftentimes incubated and under bilirubin lights or phototherapy. And the phototherapy is really important for the first, days of a child's life when they're a preemie. And because there's a lot of outcomes that are not good if they're not under these lights. And it's kind of a yellow light, you could say, because they have jaundice, because they're, I think it's the liver or something that's not fully developed, or pancreas. And so the child is put under the light. So this was, a project. I worked with her as an independent study student, and I put her in touch with my niece, who's a prenatal or preemie nurse out at University of Michigan. And so they talked about the issues, and then Tessa worked out some of the issues about cradling the child. She came up with the idea that the lights should not only be on the top, but on the bottom of the child. And so, or the underside. So she came up with this like cradle idea with mesh. So not only is the light now on top, but underneath and simultaneously, and the child feels cradled while it's all happening.
Oh, wow.
And this was a terrific solution to the problem. And then again, she took that into CAD and then worked it out into, what looks like a pretty realistic product. So we try to look at as much to do with real world issues and solve problems, as opposed to just making something look beautiful. We want to solve a problem. And what do they say? That necessity is the mother of invention.
Right.
So we, as designers, we're always looking at what's the issue. This is another one that Dan Hilbron had done, and it was for a class all about, it was about small homes, tiny homes, and the products that go in them. And Dan tackled it from a much different point of view. He's actually from Central America or northern part of South America, and he looked at some of the issues in third world countries and the difficulty of housing for people who are more challenged in their space and in urban areas, and where you feel somewhat on top of each other. So his idea was to bring in housing that stacked, but did it in a reasonable way. So he looked at the stats that were out there amongst world communities that suffer from some of these urban areas that are overburdened with too many homes in one place and not being able to stack housing. So he looked at concepts that were out there, materials that would be sustainable, concepts of how he might stack housing where they could integrate in some of these coastal areas or mountainous areas. He made small little study models from it. Again, he was a sophomore at the point when he did this. And community layouts. Again, study models. And then he went into the whole final design. And we talked a lot about that the design can have pattern in it. It doesn't have to be stagnant, that it can be a work of art in itself. And so Dan was able to do a beautiful job on this project. And then he went into his renders and developed even the furniture in there. And
And won a global award for this.
Yeah, and again, this was done as a sophomore.
And this is Dan's passion. Social responsibility is Dan's passion. And so we are encouraging him to continue down that path.
Are you gonna do it with your face? So. you gotta choose. Oh, now how come I have your face on here?
Uh-oh, somebody's on.
Got him.
Hey, is that everything we have?
There's just a couple more things to go through,
Okay.
Pat, which would be briefly back to the main presentation. And so I'd like to go back there. We're getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are good on time. It's about 7:56. And
Okay, terrific.
yeah.
So again, back to our facilities. Hey, we do study abroad. Greg Darby, who's not here this evening, he's taken actually a group over and they studied in Italy, in Florence. They lived there for the summer. He had daily or bi-daily class. I think it was every other day classes, and they got to travel around in Florence. And so as an institution, we embrace studying abroad. We work with other companies outside of our country to get you jobs for the summer. And then we also have other institutions that students can cross over and go to as well to take a class. And then community engagement. This is Veronica Scott. Steve, I'm going to let you talk about her because she was your student.
Sure.
And knocked it out of the park with what she did. Go ahead, Steve.
So we like we said, we like to engage the community. And one of the projects we did was, how can design support the community and address local needs? And what Veronica identified, this was a winter project. And what she had learned in her research was that people in Detroit, some of the homeless population actually freeze to death in the winter. And this is a horrible problem. And so she set out to come up with a solution. So what she did was, in her design process, she started prototyping things that the homeless could wear to keep them warm in the wintertime. And it evolved from a coat into a sleeping bag, a coat that transforms into a sleeping bag to protect the homeless population, in the winter months when they're living outside. And this became an obsession for her, and she actually started making these coats and was able to get some space in a local shelter and start designing the coats. But not only did she design a coat to protect people from the elements, she identified in her research that there was, economic issues related with the homeless. The homeless were homeless because of some economic issues. So what she designed was a system where she was hiring formerly homeless, but homeless people to actually help her make the coats. So she started a business where she was employing people to create economic opportunity while addressing the needs of the population, not just economically, but with the coats as well. And as it evolved, and she did a lot of social marketing in the early part of her business, and it grew very quickly and kind of went viral. And today she has over 30 employees, and she's exported coats all over the world, and she's made thousands of coats. And she started programming for the homeless, not just to hire them, but to educate them, to create homes for them, to get their high school diplomas. So she's really addressing multiple needs: economic, social, emotional, keeping families together, providing opportunity. So this is the power of design, and this is the power of ideas. And, we all have the power to change the world in some way. And this is just one example of how one person can really impact a community. Yeah. So,
you can look up Veronica Scott. It's interesting. Steve's being modest because this was a project that you did from your passion too, Steve, within the class, and it was a successful class. Veronica won a Kennedy Award. She's had lunch with Bono and Bill Gates and a number of individuals. She was on CNN just recently. That link that's on there, you can look her up. She was recently featured on CNN. So Warren Buffett, she's met Warren Buffett. And then she's also had cities from around the world, from Paris to New York, ask her to come in and template what she's doing for their cities. So it's terrific. And you know, congrats, Steve, because that class has often produced some really neat projects, and hers in particular was phenomenal. So I'm gonna keep going here. One more here. So again, you know, we have a really strong alumni base. I'm on what we call the Alumni Council. And so we keep in touch with our alumni. We encourage alumni to come around to the school. We have parties together. We have outreach for jobs. Oftentimes, if there's a student that wants to meet up with a particular type of individual in a specific industry, we'll search out that alumni and let you engage with them. And so I'm going to do another screen share here. And I just want to show you on our website. So if you want to poke around on our website some, you're going to be able to see some of our alums on there and some of the work.
Stealing my thunder, John. I was going to show them this, but I'm glad you are too.
Oh, good. Okay. Hey, is it all right if we speak to it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was teasing you. Go ahead.
Okay, so Jim Caruso, I don't know if he has, yeah, he does have some of his work up here. Him and his brother, his twin brother, came to school there, Jim and John, and I actually had both of them as students. Pat, were you there at the same time when
Yes,
they were there?
I was, yep.
Yeah, so they're your good friends too, I'm sure. And
I also had John when I was a student, though we were the same age, John. He was a young teacher and I was an old student.
Well, you know, I was always in the shop working with students, and the dean had asked me to come back and teach. So fortunately, the great thing is Pat is my student and Steve as well. And it's been a gift because they became my really good friends, my lifetime friends. So it's been terrific. So, you know, with Jim, he became, you know, at a really high level within Motorola. And then now he works, I believe he's over at Newell.
He is, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
He's head of their innovation.
Yeah, that's right. And so Don Crum's another one. Don was a student that I had, and again, a terrific artist, loved to draw, and he's now over at Pixar. And I want to jump to one other student also that's at Pixar, is Jay Schuster. Did either of you go to school with Jay?
Yeah, I know Jay from Pixar actually, but he's an awful talented guy.
Yeah, so Jay's really interesting. I had him as a student. Again, he was always drawing in class, doodling. His drawings evolved just to be fantastic. Again, started out at school as a young person, just liking to draw, and became just an expert. And so he became so proficient that when he came out of school, he was actually George Lucas's right-hand person. And he did a lot of the drawings for George Lucas's movies or storyboards. And then he went off to Pixar, where he actually helped develop the character WALL-E and worked on it. I think it was actually his kind of concept. And then Cars. I actually saw him at the Detroit Auto Show with John Lasseter, who ran Pixar for years, and they were walking around looking at cars. So it was kind of fun. You may have been there that night, Steve, or you know, but it was interesting.
They came and visited Ford.
Oh, they did. Cool.
Yeah, at that time.
That's great. So again, very diverse group. You know, now I did not have Ken Perkins, but I have another student that worked at Movado, And he's now working out west designing watches for another company. Again, very successful. And you can see Ken worked at Fossil, or he's probably still there, I think. Let me just run through if there's a couple other people that I know here. Brian Jablonski. Well, there's none of his work right on here. He's a really interesting guy. He came out of school and he worked at Love Toys again. Worked at Fisher Price over in upstate New York, outside of Buffalo, let's say. And then he went to Hasbro, and anything to do with Nerfs. If you've ever bought a Nerf, Brian Jablonski had something to do with it. He's the head Nerf guy. He is the product manager of Nerf. And he's a character too. He grew up in the Detroit area, a very good friend of ours. I had the pleasure of, him being my very good friend because we were, young together, I guess. Mike Forbes, he's really interesting where he went to work at Henry Ford Hospital, designing hospital elements. Was anybody Steve, were you his instructor for the hospital gown?
No, that was Greg Darby.
Okay, so they actually developed a hospital gown where it was actually patented through Henry Ford. And Mike just recently went on to work for another independent company that supplies medical goods. So he's really had an interesting career, and it's gone places in just the 8 or 10 years since he's been out of school. Mary Ann Grisdale, was she around your time or maybe after?
I graduated with Mary Ann.
Yeah. She was really a delight to have because she loved the profession. She loved design. And then she went on to become vice president of Teams Design in New York and designed all sorts of products there. And I think she's doing now primarily app design or interface, let's say, engagement. Is there anybody else here you want to speak to in terms of either of you or?
There's a lot,
Yeah.
Eagleman, Lockhart,
Oh, yeah.
Jason Maiden.
I saw Elizabeth Salonen, who's teaching with us now.
Yes.
Right.
These are all product people. Yeah, Ian.
Terry, he's taught there. Linda Jang, didn't she win a pretty big prize with Motorola, I think? Trek bikes. I think Chad's been there a while.
Yeah. And this Justin Pyle, he started his own company, this Icon Motorsports.
Huh. I know we have Jordan Ricci, he's over at GT Bikes. Elise, she's in San Francisco. She's a director now. She's an industrial designer now. She's a director at New Deal Design. So Steve, do you want to share anything on some of your work with Pengree that you've done more recent?
Let's see, you could go to my profile in the faculty area.
Are we looking on time too? Remember, we want to try to get some.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I don't want to cut you guys short, but out of respect to everybody's time this evening, I do want to get to some Q&A.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, before we do that, I just want to steal 5
Yeah.
minutes, not even that.
You want me to get to that screen?
Yeah, because I want to
Just a moment.
see.
Is this what you'd like?
Well, actually, if you stop sharing, I'll go to my stuff.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I've got that queued up. Find out which one it is. There we go. There we go. For those of you who are considering applying to CCS, and why wouldn't you? Oh my gosh, you guys, I want to sign up. I just wanted to do a quick overview of the admissions page, how to find out how you can apply by going to admissions and undergraduate admissions. simply page down. Applying to the school is as easy as 1, 2, and 3, literally. You make application. Our application is free, costs you nothing to apply. Here's information on transcripts. You can send unofficial transcripts to admissions@collegeforcreativestudies.edu. If you're sending official transcripts, you can send them through Parchment or Clearinghouse. And we do require a portfolio, but nothing like what you would imagine. You know, I want to reiterate some of the things that John and others have said this evening. We don't expect you to come in working at that level of ability. We're looking for potential. And, you know, we recognize that in a number of different ways. And I'm going to show you where you can get some recommendations and tips to help you prepare your own portfolio. But when you are ready to submit your portfolio, you'll do it on this third tab. So remember I said 1, 2, 3, it's basically application, transcripts, and portfolio, which you'll submit on SlideRoom, clicking on this, create a username and password. And that is a $10 fee. That's SlideRoom's fee, not our own, but it is the only fee associated with your application. There is some deadline information here, so be sure to pay attention to that. And up at the top, portfolio requirements, you can click on that. And there's a nice little video here by Brandy Keeler, one of our admissions counselors, assistant director for admissions, in fact, and she will give you some tips and recommendations. And then here are some specific requirements for our programs. They do differ slightly depending on the program that you're applying to. And you can see there are some portfolio examples, so you can click on that to look for examples. And for those of you who may be slightly nervous about submitting a portfolio, you can submit work here for, I think, about 5 uploads that we will evaluate and give you feedback on your preferred method. And whether you prefer a phone call or a Zoom video chat, you can just upload work here. And there's more portfolio tips and recommendations. And like John had showed you earlier, so if you go to academics and you go to product design here, that's where you will find those alumni profiles that John was sharing with you. And you can find out background information on all of our esteemed faculty. We have an outstanding pedigree of faculty. I don't even think they spoke too very much about themselves, but John was sharing some of his work. I mean, his whole office behind it, his chair, the cabinets, designed by John. So pretty impressive stuff. There's departmental videos, student work here, news and events. There's always something going on. And, you know, I've worked for 2 other art design colleges, 2 other ACAD schools. And I got to tell you, you know, the proof is in the pudding. And you saw the pudding tonight. And that's our alumni. And some schools have 1 or 2 alumni that they talk about endlessly. We've got a plethora of alumni. It's ridiculous, the amount of folks there are. You might be one of them. Lastly, I just wanted to share with you this box here. If any of you are interested in visiting the campus, we are doing on-campus visits. They are limited, but you can schedule them by clicking the visit link and going down to any one of these buttons and either scheduling a visit in person, or we are doing some virtual visits that you can schedule. And we do have other events here that you click on and attend other events like a virtual open house. So I don't want to chew up a whole lot more time, but I did want to review just how to get around the website and how to make application. If any of you have any questions at all about the application process, by the way, go back again to undergraduate admissions. Oh, there it is, behind the box. Contact us. If you click on that, if you know who your counselor is, all the contact information is here. If any of you this evening are transfer students interested in transferring to CCS, I am the transfer advisor, so you can click on my information here, and I'd be happy to assist you through that process. All right, well, that's it for me. I don't want to chew up any more of our time. So I don't see any questions in the chat box. You all have the opportunity